I'd like to welcome everybody to our congregational meeting, and both online and in person. And what a time period to have us all together, both virtually and in person. So I'd like to at this time ask Pastor Galen to please give us an invitation.
Let's be in prayer. O gracious and Holy Spirit, living and moving and active in each of us, whether we are here in the sanctuary or whether we are online, together as a community of faith, we are bound by your Spirit. We are held close by your Spirit, and we thank you for this opportunity to serve you and to also have a vision of how you may be calling us to be a church, to be the church that reaches out to one another, that provides resources that we need, that honors and acknowledges the gifts that people feel called to use in leadership. Oh God, we thank you for this opportunity. We offer this time period of us deliberating and sharing in business together to you, that your wisdom and your Spirit may be affecting us deeply and profoundly as we serve you. We offer this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you, Galen. And I would like to call this meeting to order at 11:13 on Sunday, November 15th, 2020. And to establish the quorum, Tom, I am letting you know that we have, I keep getting 40 or 41 people in the sanctuary, and you have 20 people online, so we can definitely establish the quorum. When it's time to vote for the people online, when you vote, if there are two people at a screen, you will both have to be at the screen, to my understanding. And I'm sure Tom will correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that that's when we do the voting, that we probably have more than the quorum number.
I can jump in there, Steve, if you like. What I'll say is it would make it easier if everyone was logged in individually. If you are not able to do that, please vote via the chat window of Zoom.
Thanks. Okay. I would like to make a few opening remarks before we get into the ministry study plan and Chris's presentation. And there's three opening remarks I'd like to make. First of all, obviously conducting this meeting with both voting online and in person, it is challenging. We've had numerous meetings and conversations on how to do this, both with our bylaws and to make this work technically. In addition, I've asked a couple assistant presidents and other people here if I make any mistakes. Scott, Ralph, feel free to interrupt. My skin is thick. Another thing is we're going to need to coordinate the voting, and there will be a few minutes to do that, much like September 20th with our candidating Sunday. We needed a few minutes to put that together. We might do that again. My second comment I'd like to make at this time is in regard to COVID, that I have received numerous questions from you, conversations from different members in just the last few days. And I think it's best to address this later on during questions or comments. You're welcome to ask some questions, but I think it's best to address this at this point. Our objective as a church continues to be keeping everybody healthy and safe. That is our number one focus through this whole time, while providing quality worship and connecting opportunities, as many as we can. But that first piece holds the safety first, and we're trying to provide as much as we possibly can. Our leadership continues to closely monitor, analyze, discuss, take actions. We're on the phone and connecting with each other multiple times a week. There's a tremendous balance between staying safe and trying to keep some collective action going. And that's a tight balance that we continue to address. We fully understand this very vulnerable time period in going through the winter. You should probably expect further adaptations as we proceed, and there's definitely the possibility we'll need to go all virtual. That's not been decided, but as questions and conversations come in, and as you see the facts and understand what's happening, we are deeply in conversation and take everything extremely seriously. You're welcome to continue to call me and talk. That's where we are right at this minute. The blessing in what we are doing as a church is our mitigation. The fact that we have stayed healthy speaks for itself through 8.5 months. We're not a spreader in a church. What you are doing right now, masking, social distancing, contact trace, and 18 other things I'm not thinking of in this second. That stuff is critical, especially masks, and trying not to do what I do is continue to take 2 steps too close. Just push people back. When anything happens, that is such a comfort that we have to know that we have been doing everything right. We have to continue that. In addition, if anybody feels unsafe or you just can't go to church, and I'm hearing that, it is way fine. You are not being judged in any way. Stay home. That's what one line's for, and that is going to continue. So continue to do what we're doing, and it gives us options as we proceed through these next few weeks and maybe months and through the winter season. I would like to make one other observation, and this is one of these when you see it, and also the results speak for themselves. I'm taken back and touched by the amount of volunteering you and people online are doing. It seems like so many people are doing just one thing. And it's definitely affected me in the excitement of the church. And I just want to name some stuff, and I know I'm not dating everything, but our faith formation teachers, the music leaders, trying to adapt through this is tremendous. Property people building plexiglass, volunteering into committees, it is just amazing. Usher coordinators, new paths, the Justice Committee, the Trump retreat, back to the Justice Committee, what a service we just went through. That's new stuff, what we're doing in the middle of the pandemic. And it's you who's doing it. Yes, you're waving like crazy. Thank you. Thanks. My skin's so good. All right, how's that? Thank you. Sorry, Carolyn. It kind of reminds me of Earl Loki. For years and years since I've been in this church, walking around asking what he can do. What more do you need? What can I do? It's that spirit that continues in this church. Our traditions, having singers in the loft is wonderful. Other traditions of filling staff positions we've done in these last 9 months. Our youth, connected into the communities and communion that continues both homebound and in person. I do want to keep going on here. Building plan, just people on conferences and associations that continue to volunteer. Our children singing. It does also remind me of Martha and her stubborn positiveness. It just was relentless, the way that woman, to me, continued to go, we can do this. And between Earl offering, what more can I do? And I just think of those character traits that just continue to be a part of this congregation. As we push through these unknown times and this unknown winter season, our collective faith, our connections to each other, it's us, that's our church. And I'm just so touched by what everybody continues to find ways to do. So thank you. Okay. Chris, may I ask you to go up and give the proposal for the 2021 ministry spending plan? Is this okay, Mike?
And Steve, Mr. President, as, so we can, for the discussion on this, I'd like to move that we adopt the 2021 general fund budget.
Is there a second, please? I'm gonna go with Kendra Lau.
Okay, I will offer some comments. This was an interesting plan to develop this year. As we look forward to 2021, we thought of how to display and communicate our ministry spending plan. We thought it important to present sort of the full body version, or one that showed the optimal staffing model. As you can see, if you take a few minutes to look through it, we do a little hybrid method. We've sort of modified the plan as effects of the pandemic and other situations occurred. But we also wanted to give you a sense of what it would look like, what it does look like without the staffing models followed. So you'll see some totals for positions such as director of music, the facilities manager, nursery coordinator. It's likely they'll not be utilized at the start, at least at the start of 2021, due to the effects of the pandemic or current vacancies. And the dollars associated with that plan revision are shown at the end of the budget to give you a better sense of the realistic plan, if you will, in 2021. But again, this is an attempt to fully disclose, be transparent, give you a sense of the what ifs should we return to the full staff model in the future. While we would like the bottom line results to be different, the realistic look at 2021 does indicate a deficit, which we hope to avoid and will certainly strive to minimize. But again, as you look at the bottom line, the 28.5, if you will, deficit, it is mitigated in the bad phrase right now, in ways in which some of those expenses may be reduced. That is the 21.8 you'll see at the bottom. So the budget that we are asking you to consider does have a deficit of 28.5, but again, we hope to not get to that level. I call this a realistic view. So I'm going to review the effects of the pandemic and the impact on programming and in-person attendance. Congregational giving, we're unlikely to have many visitors, so we've sort of factored that out in the plan, giving from those sources. We are, however, very encouraged by the response to this year's stewardship effort. The number of pledges we received, which is now at 93, while that's slightly less than prior years, it did indicate a total amount of giving of $261,500. That's an increase of 6.5% over the final pledge number last year. So with those pledges, I am very confident we can make that 310,000 number that you see on the top line of the spending plan. Some of the other impacts, as you might suspect, special offerings, grocery card profits, those are all reduced because of limitations that we expect to have on in-person attendance. Things like staff travel, it's limited by inability to visit or attend in-person meetings. Several of the commissions and committees, the faith formation, fellowship, worship commission, they're all expected to be lessened due to program limitations. When you look at the total revenues, they're expected to decrease by 3.43%. A lot of that is due to investment income. You know what interest rates are like right now. The interest rates impact our trust income, and that's a significant piece of our budget. So those interest rates, as well as the lower endowment fund valuation, that means a general reduction in revenue. And the other side of the total expenditure will decrease by 4.4%. Outreach, one of those areas, we project that giving or that sharing of those gifts upon the current membership total does include some increases for echoes and diaper ministry and elimination of the line item for Heartland Center that no longer exists as an outreach effort. Staff salary changes, if you looked at those increases, it does include increases for 2% increases for the lead pastor, as well as the 2 administrators. 1% increases for other staff positions, with the exception of the associate pastor and the director of music. They will stay at the current levels, 2020 levels. We did have a placeholder line for the social justice group. Not really an accurate estimate, it's just a recognition that there might be some money spent. The other piece I'll point out is we are realizing significant savings from the current experiences with our new HVAC system, and we hope that will show itself in more. Again, I think this was our attempt to both look at 2021 as a view of what we expect, but also hopefully give you a sense of if there is such a return to what was formerly known as normal sometime in the future, that you also have a sense of what that might entail as well. And those are my comments. Were there questions?
Are there any questions or comments? And again, we will be taking any questions online. Tom, do you have any instructions for people online you'd like to share?
If you have any questions, please put them in the chat window or raise your hand. Or if you feel moved, you can just unmute and speak. We're going to be flexible here.
I think what we'll do is wait a minute, Tom. We'll give it 1 minute if there's any questions from both in the congregation, at least a minute in the congregation and online before we vote.
That sounds good.
And if anybody does need to speak in the sanctuary, just raise your hand and we'll bring the microphone to you so that everybody all over the place can hear.
Amy Adams says, please have the speakers talk to the microphones. Every time they look down, the audio is harder to hear and decipher.
Okay, Tom, to my understanding, we have no questions or comments in the sanctuary and not online for yourself as well. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And Tom, do you have any direction to people online on how to vote? Because I'm going to call for the vote.
Are we going to vote for both things at the end, so that way we can just do the poll once?
Like to vote for the budget now.
Okay. Okay. Well, in that case, then I'm gonna bring up a poll screen on for the people who are joining us via Zoom. Please only vote for the first question at this time, and we will address the second question after a little while. So if you have more than one person voting at your computer, please send your vote privately to the Christchurch UCC Elizabethtown chat window, not to me, Tom Downing, but to the other one that's there. So send it to Christchurch UCC Elizabethtown privately, and that way we'll count each of your votes individually. So I'm going to start the poll right now.
Tom, one other thing, I want to add my cell phone if anybody is not able online to connect or vote for some reason. If you can vote online, please do that so I don't get 40 texts here. But my cell phone number is 717-386-0012. But we prefer you to vote online as Tom has described. So at this time, I would like for you to please signify by saying aye if you approve the 2021 budget motion as presented. Aye. Those opposed, please use the same sign and say aye. Okay.
And for the people who are voting via Zoom, you may have to answer the second question to move on, and that's okay. We're just going to ignore that for right now, and then we will reset the polls for when we do the nomination question.
Tom, can you resend the poll to me because I closed out of it?
Just send me your vote privately, please. And because if I restart it, it's going to wipe out all the votes that have already been cast.
Tom,
Okay.
you can't submit just one vote at a time. It won't let you. Mine screens are not letting me do that.
I know you can do both. Just make sure that both votes are cast for the motion to approve. We're going to ignore that at this time, and we'll add that the second time around, so that when you hear we see the polls again, you're going to see both questions again, but we're only counting them each this one time. Steve, just let me know how much time you need, and then I'll.
We're just waiting on you, Tom.
Okay, I'm going to give it a little bit more time.
Yep, whenever you're ready, just let. And you're going to text Wes and I that number, is that right?
That is correct. So we're going to give it just a little bit more time. I have the poll votes, and I'm checking the chat window right now.
Thank you, everybody, for your patience through this as we try to abide by bylaws, take care of everybody to be inclusive, try to do the timing and be fair.
Okay, I think we have everyone. If there's anyone who hasn't figured it out yet, please let us know. I'm going to share the number that I have currently.
And we're going to announce this vote after the nominating vote. Is that correct, Tom?
We can do it either way. If we want to do it now, that's fine.
Let's do it now if we're able to, please. So just text me your number when you have it, Tom, please.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay, the results of this vote for the 2021 budget, the budget is approved. There are 64 yes votes for the budget and 0 no. So the budget passes. And I am sure I am speaking for everybody in the congregation to Chris's work, the finance committee's work, anybody related to this budget, as they needed to do everything Chris said, and I can't even get the words back to repeat, trying to be fair and where we really are, what could happen here, and what could happen there. It's a lot of work. And thank you again, Chris, and the entire finance committee. And Tom Dowling, I believe the floor is yours at this time for the nominating committee report for the election of new consistory officers.
Thank you very much, Steve. Okay, I hope everyone can see me and hear me. I'm going to read a little bit from the bylaws, Article 2 of the bylaws specifically about this process, and I'll be brief. Nominations shall be made for the offices of elder, deacon, and trustee by a nominating committee appointed each year by the president of consistory. The nominating committee, chaired by the vice president, which is me, shall present a candidate for each vacancy. Speaking of the committee, I'd like to thank all of the members of our nominating committee. Thank you, Steve Stauffer and Sharon Blau, for helping us find candidates and the nominations. Thank you very much for all your help. Continuing on with the bylaws, all candidates for office recommended by the nominating committee must give their consent and be approved by a majority vote of consistory. Public notice of such nominations shall be given from the pulpit, by worship bulletin, or letter at least 2 weeks before the election. Additional nominations for each office may be made by the congregation at the annual congregation meeting, which is this right now. To nominate a participating member from the floor or via Zoom meeting, The participating member making the nomination must have obtained the nominee's prior consent. At this time, we have 5 offices that need to be filled, including 2 trustees, 2 deacons, and 1 elder. Don Martin and Mandy Moyer have been nominated for the office of trustee. Tanya Runnels has been nominated for the office of deacon. And Tom Downing, myself, has been nominated for the office of elder. All 4 of these members have accepted their nominations to these offices. And at this point, I would like to nominate from the floor Mike Faust for the office of deacon. Mike Faust has accepted this nomination to the best of my knowledge, and he is on the Zoom meeting as well. So Mike, if you have any other feelings, just let us know. And I'm going to show the nominees on screen right now. So you should see the nominees on the Zoom screen and probably on the projection screen there in the church as well. Are there any other nominations to consider from the congregation or the Zoom meeting? If so, please speak up in the congregation, in the sanctuary there, or send a chat window or unmute yourself and make your voice heard in the Zoom meeting. Okay, I don't hear anyone. Steve, do you see anyone? I can't see the sanctuary right now, but is there anyone from the sanctuary?
No.
Okay, I am not hearing anything from the Zoom meeting, so hearing none, I will ask the members participating via Zoom. I'm going to bring up the poll just like we did before to cast your votes. Members present in the sanctuary, please cast your votes now as well. We will add the votes together and report back to both groups with results. So I'm going to run the poll again right now.
Tom, 1 second. Do we need to make a motion first?
Yes.
We do, sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. So what we would like to do is have a motion made to approve the entire slate. And I have Dick Alderson in the back to make that motion, and second by Scott McDermott. So what we are voting on is the entire slate of candidates, including the transfer of Tom to elder in one vote. So at this time, the people online can go ahead and vote, and at this time in the congregation, all those in favor of the motion to nominate the people indicated on the screen, and as Tom talked about, the positions of deacon, elder, and trustee, please signify by saying aye. Aye. And those opposed, the same sign by saying aye. Very good.
It's not letting us do it for just one.
That's fine. If you have to be asked twice again, just answer whatever you like for the first poll question and then cast your vote for the second one. That is totally fine.
Okay. Thank you.
And again, if you have to vote for more than one person, do it in the chat window. I'm looking at that right now.
Beautiful voting.
Okay, last chance for anyone else to vote online. I have the numbers so far, just making sure that this is final. So about ready to close the polling.
And again, Tom, if you would just text that to me, that would be wonderful.
Will do. Okay, I'm going to end the polling right now. This is your last chance to send a chat.
Are people really eating breakfast on there and stuff? They're making me hungry. I'm really getting hungry. Thought I said Joanne there. Thanks, Tom. Thank you, Carol.
Yay.
Okay, the results, we're growing people. The results of the nominating committee's election of consistory officers as follows: 67 yeses and 0 noes. So very good. Thank you. Thank you to the people online working with us and everybody's patience. Thank you so much. I would really like to take this time and recognize and congratulate the people that were just voted on into consistory during this time period. It's a remarkable time, and we're thrilled to have everybody's expertise and talent. Some people are here, the other people are online. Both is great. Tanya Reynolds is here today, and Mandy is here today. Thank you so much, as well as Dawn and Mike Faust that are online. So it'll be wonderful having all of you here. In addition, Tom, I'm going to cut in just a little bit and add to the nominating report that on our ministry committee, our nominating group was also tasked to fill some positions there. And Cindy Reichert and Rob Best, thank you so much for your continued contributions to that important committee in our church, the ministry committee. Thank you. At this time, would like to move to any committee reports, or anybody have any updates out of committees or action in the church? And Tom, you can let me know if there's anything there coming up. We do have one communication piece for one group. So at this time, I would like to ask Missy Stevens and I believe Chris Dinsmore to come up and to talk with you. Thank you. I can move on.
Amy, I'm going to try not to look down. Okay. The United Church of Christ has been a leader in the field of environmental justice since 1982, when they undertook a landmark study that proved that hazardous waste sites in North Carolina were being intentionally placed in communities primarily impacted by low-income Black, Latino, and Native Americans. It was from this UCC study that the term environmental racism was coined. In 2013, the General Synod of the United Church of Christ took another giant leap forward in combating environmental injustice when they became the first denomination to vote to divest from fossil fuels as a strategy to combat climate change. We formed a green team here at Christ Church in 2017. Yes. And in 2018, we wrote a creation justice covenant that was approved by our congregation. In early 2019, we applied and were approved to become designated within the UCC as a creation justice church. One of the comments raised by our congregation at the time we voted on and approved our creation justice covenant encouraged us as a green team to consider converting our investment portfolio to holdings that would better align with our church's environmental justice and social justice goals. With that mandate, we approached the finance committee approximately a year ago, and they, with the help of our investment advisors, decided to track what our investment returns would be if converted to an ESG, environmental social governance portfolio. We now have these results from that time period, and Chris is going to share those with you.
Thanks, Missy. We have been looking at this situation for a long time, and this was sort of a catalyst to allow us to explore more fully how the market has developed. We, especially at finance, take that stewardship very seriously, and the stewardship has a number of different facets to it, one of which is making sure that we generate the best return for the investments. That has always been sort of a nagging sticking point with some of these subjects. In the past, people had presumed there was an inferior rate of return for if you choose to go with a certain investment. And we've been tracking that as this has been since this was brought up. And the ESG markets, if you will, were not fully developed until really about 2 years ago. We diversify, so we essentially invest in a lot of mutual funds with our current method. And one of the things that had not been developed was a mutual fund portfolio devoted to ESG that had a mature history. So what has now happened in the past, especially year, has been a convergence of data that we regularly utilize. So I will share with you that consistory on Thursday night. So we did vote, they did vote to approve the conversion of our investments to the ESG model. And for your information, the ESG model that we are choosing to go with is one recommended by our investment advisors. The connection to Raymond James as their investment vehicle. So the Freedom ESG portfolio is what we're going to convert our investments to. And I'll just share that over the past third quarter results, looking back trailing year, the ESG model returned 9.84%. The non-ESG, or standard traditional sort of proven value investing, returned 7.04%. So we are actually thrilled that we're moving towards a model that satisfies both objectives. And we're thrilled to be able to align the goals more transparently than possibly we had in the past. We weren't really sure what industries we were devoting our dollars to. So that's informational, I think, more than anything else, Mr. President. So take it from here.
Are there any questions or thoughts for Missy, Chris, or anyone else during this communication to you both in person and online? The question from Ron Spade is, will the conversion be a lump sum conversion, or I guess a gradual conversion would be another way to answer that question.
Our current plan is it will be lump sum, so we will essentially exchange the current portfolio model we have, make a phone call, and DDMP, our financial advisors, will carry out the change to the ESG portfolio, and I'm told it should be a matter of a day or two. That will be complete.
Other questions or comments?
Tom, you have nothing?
I don't see anything currently. Anyone on Zoom have any questions or comments? Please type it in the chat window or unmute and speak your mind.
Missy, Chris, and everybody involved with this, thank you so much for your work, the presentation. To me, I'm a business guy. It seems like a win-win-win-win the whole way around, which is just awesome. And thanks for the initiative again. People just doing stuff. This is awesome for the church. So thank you.
I will say one thing briefly. Joanne just wanted to remind everyone that if you missed her message, that it will be edited into the YouTube video after the fact.
Thank you. And at this time, the floor is open for any questions or comments as I continue to try to keep my head up. Sorry. But anybody online and in person, any questions, comments, anything you would like to bring up at this time would be, this is your opportunity, would be wonderful. Pretty quiet here so far, Tom. There is a Ralph Spade question or comment, or Steve, you look nice today comment. One of those.
That's true, Steve, you look nice. As a former consistory president, I can tell you that business doesn't just happen to my intentions. Congratulations to you. But I would like to thank you, staff, consistory, everyone involved. It's taking us through this. It's hard to be in that. You guys do a wonderful job, and you can't thank you for what you do all the time.
People online, Tom, first of all, thank you, Ralph. Tom, were people able to hear that?
No, could you please repeat that for everyone?
Say that again, Tom. Yes, no, could you hear?
No.
No, we could not hear Ralph.
Ralph thanked the consistory, the staff, and everybody for their leadership during this obviously interesting year. Thank you, Ralph. Are there any other questions or comments online or in person? Okay. I would just like to close this piece of the questions and comments with this. I also want to thank you for your support of the congregation, everybody in the congregation, and your encouragement. Also, I want to thank you for caring for each other, which touches me, but caring that we find ways to continue to connect. May we continue to trust and have faith in this wonderful galaxy of the Spirit of God's love. So thank you. And I'd like to call this meeting to be adjourned. Jen, I've got 11:55 on November 15th. And yeah, I'm sorry, Pastor Paul, would you please try not to look down? Pastor Paul, would you lead us in the closing prayer, please?
Let us be in prayer, please. Thank you, Steve, and everyone for being here and for doing this work. Lord, you have called us and loved us just as we are. We strive to be worthy of your love and your grace as members of Christ's church. We thank you for your blessing and for the challenge we have as your followers who are growing in faith. Go with us now as we lead this meeting to love and serve your world. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you to our friends online.
Guys.
Thank you, everyone.
Good. that stuff here for you, right? Good job.
Watch it leave.
Thank you.